Okay, let's get started, everyone, and people can join us as they come in. So welcome, everyone, to day 3 or morning 3 of CS EdX. My name is Kushila Kumar. I'm the Sub-Dean Academic Development and Director of the Teaching Academy. What a way to start the day. We have a day starting with celebrations, which is the best way to start the day. So I'm really excited that you have joined us and that we're here together and that we're going to be celebrating our wonderful Teaching Award winners for 2023. My special thanks also to Lucy Zundas-Fraser from the Faculty of Arts and Education, Professor Louis Bizzo from BJBS, and Megan Smith as well. I think I saw you there popping up, Megan, from the Faculty of Science and Health, the executive deans who support these awards annually as well. So I'm glad you could be here and be part of the celebration. We've had such a fantastic 3 days so far. I think we've had about, I was looking at the numbers, we've had about 780 attendees across the last 2 days, which is fantastic, which means that we've had 780 touch points with each other and potentially, 780 points of learning, which is what CS EdX is all about. So here we are, day 3, a bit of celebration this morning so that we can really hear from our award winners and really acknowledge them and their work. So before I commence the proceedings, I just want to remind you that we will be recording this session, and Lachlan Kalash, thank you so much for pressing the record button for us. And I also ask everyone, please, to have yourselves on mute, and I will invite you to speak when you're ready. So please have yourselves on mute for the session. I want to begin by acknowledging and appreciating country. So firstly, my deepest thanks to the members of our Galay team who've created this magnificent welcome to country, acknowledgement of country for the Division of Learning and Teaching that really talks about the special place that education has and its connections to First Nations people and their practices. So let's start with acknowledging the amazing countries that we're all situated on. So the Division of Learning and Teaching acknowledges the transformative effect of education. Our impact leads to ever-improving educational outcomes, inspiring our students to create a world worth living in. We recognize the inclusive nature of First Nations educational practices and the innovative strategies that have ensured the continuing diversity of lands, waters, and peoples for millennia. We also acknowledge that in our practice, we are guided by the elders, past and present, of the country in which our campuses live: Wiradjuri, Biripi, Gundungurra, and Ngunnawal. In the spirit of Injamara Winanana, we recognize the depth of First Nations ways of being, ways of knowing, and ways of doing, inspiring our commitment in supporting staff and students in the wisdom of respectfully knowing how to live well in a world worth living in. So I feel really inspired having said that. I feel amazingly connected to the many lands across which we're all situated and that we are joining us in as part of this celebration. It reminds us, I guess, of why we do what we do and the connections that we have as a learning and teaching community. So if we move on to the next slide, please. Tiff, thank you very much. Thank you. So just a quick reminder of why we're here today. We're here to celebrate all things learning and teaching. And so we have a number of teaching awards that we're celebrating. We, of course, have the Executive Dean's Teaching Awards, the Change One Thing Award, which was run for the first time this year. And then we also are celebrating the winners and nominees of the Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Award. So we will move on to the next slide. So the first cab off the rank are the Executive Dean's Teaching Awards. And we were so fortunate to see many submissions coming in this year from across the footprint of Charles Sturt University. And, we convened a panel with representation from the faculties to really sit down and look at these submissions and make the decisions about who was going to be given these awards. So after much consideration and conversation, we've settled on our recipients, and so I'm very delighted to be announcing them today. I think only a few people are in the know, and so this is really, I hope, going to be a surprise for many of you who are gathered here today. So the first award that I'd like to announce is the Faculty of Science and Health. So I'm going to invite Executive Dean Professor Megan Smith to join me and to announce the awards for her faculty. So Megan, I'm going to hand over to you, and I hope you can unmute yourself. And Megan, are you there? Oh, there you are, but you can't unmute. Megan needs to be unmuted. Lachlan, I wonder if you can help us there.
She should be able to. Hang on, I'll make her a co-host anyway, but
we'll get there. It says I can't. Oh, there you are, Megan. You're off mute.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you, Kushila. Yeah, Lachlan, it was just telling me I wasn't allowed to. So anyway, all permissions granted now. Thank you very much. Oh, and Kushila, look, thank you for the welcome. Can I begin with my acknowledgement of country and acknowledging our traditional owners? It's and to obviously pay my respects to elders past and present. It's my really great pleasure to be here this morning and to have the opportunity to celebrate our staff. This is such a fantastic initiative, CSU EdX itself, to be able to be talking about teaching and learning and to celebrate it, but particularly to single out and to acknowledge those people who've really been excelling in teaching and learning. So it is really my very great pleasure. And Kushila, it's been great to hear that CSU EdX is going really well and that people have been able to take part and have engaged in a discussion about teaching and learning. So I get the very great pleasure of announcing the Faculty of Science and Health Awards, and a preempt. We have 3 to go through. And my understanding is I'm going to announce who they are, but also we're going to invite the recipients to say a few words, a few more words. I'll say what the award is for, but I'm hoping we can really hear from the teams involved as to what they've been doing and to shed a little bit light, because it's a really important part of sharing the knowledge and the expertise across our university. So without any further ado, what I will do is, we're just looking timing. So the winner of our first award, and actually one of the things that I'm really proud of from a faculty point of view is that 2 of the 3 of our awards are going to teams. And why that is really important is because I think we used to say for a little bit that teaching is a team sport, and it absolutely requires teams of people, and to celebrate the teams coming together, it is particularly exciting for me. So our first team that we would like to award the Faculty of Science and Health Award to is led by Ms. Kristen Andrews and team. Now, Kristen, I know that this is not, there's a spelling error on this, so we've already noted that one and we will correct that. The team is consisting of Kristen, Dr. Lisa Brown, Dr. Jack Cannon, Dr. Michael Chang, Ms. Kylie Dobson, Ms. Victoria Gordon, Ms. Helen Gorman, Ms. Helen Harrington, Dr. Christopher Plant, Associate Professor Caroline Robinson, and Dr. Linda Wilson. This is a team from the School of Allied Health, Exercise and Sports Sciences, and the award today recognises their contribution to enhancing scholarship of learning and teaching and building capacity for subject outline quality, assessment development and design through a community of practice and peer review. So congratulations to Kristen and team. Congratulations for working together to bring this, and particularly for your contribution to the enhanced experience of our students, but also being able to work together as a team. So Kristen, are you there? And can you, or one of the members of the team, Kristen is not there, able to say a few words about what you've been doing and share that with us? We may have an unmute issue again.
There we go. I think we've got it now. Thank you. This is incredibly exciting, and I'm so proud of the team for putting together this opportunity. But I want to make a special thanks to Caroline Robertson, who was driving this, so our Associate Head of School of Learning and Teaching. So the project was about bringing people together to share the load initially, and by sharing the load, it then developed into, as lots of things do in our teaching practices, a wonderful opportunity to collaborate together. So I think the thing that we've all got out of this is newfound friendships and respect. We've certainly learnt a whole heap along the way in education regarding assessment practices, interdisciplinary approaches, pedagogies that we might not have considered otherwise. So I think from the aspect of this project, the 10 members of our team have certainly benefited from working together in this peer collaborative environment, but all of the members of our school who are involved in subject outline planning, in assessment development and design have also been able to, I guess, move fluidly between a mentor and mentee kind of relationship. So whilst we had our subject outline QA officers, which are listed on the slide here, and their role was to critique and review subject outlines to ensure that they were really appropriate for student-facing language and they would improve the student experience. What we also found was by working with subject outline authors that we're able to both feed backward and forward in learning and developing our own skills in assessment, design and delivery as well.
Kristen, thank you very much. Chris and I are also two doors today, so it's a little bit of a stereo thing on it. So I'm very proud to be down the corridor from you today, Kristen, as well. So with that in mind, thank you to that team. It's my great pleasure to move on to our next award. And our next award goes to Kim Lustig and team. And that team consists of Miss Pamela Webb, Miss Victoria Gordon and Miss Wendy Rose Davidson. And again, this team is from the School of Allied Health, Exercise and Sports Sciences, and in particular for celebrating 5 years of clinical interprofessional simulation for early years allied health students, an authentic learning experience preparing students for graduate entry practice. And so proud to see, having watched the journey of introducing not only interprofessional learning, but also simulation into the school. It's fantastic to see this team bringing it together and being awarded. So Kim, I'm going to hand over to you to say a few words about what you've been doing.
So thank you very much for the opportunity to accept this award. As Megan said, this award was a team application and it celebrated 5 years of clinical interprofessional simulation for early years allied health students. And it really focused on those approaches to teaching that influence, motivate and inspire students to learn. And I suppose in accepting this award, I would really like to acknowledge and thank the original team members who were involved in 2019, as well as the many academic staff and clinicians that have been involved over the past 5 years. And as this is a team submission, I want to thank and acknowledge my team members, Pam Webb from Podiatry, who was the overall facilitator of this experience in 2023, Victoria Gordon and Wendy Rose Davidson. I also want to thank Caroline Robinson as well for her support and guidance with this application. One of the points I needed to consider as part of accepting this award is what motivates and inspires me and sustains me as an educator. And a key thing for me is being part of a supportive and collaborative teaching team with such diverse personalities, strengths, approaches, and worldviews. And this support is shown in so many ways. Some of them are seemingly small, like just being able to have someone to do a lunchtime walk with, or just having people in my office that are positive and uplifting. What I really appreciated about the simulated experience is after being involved and coordinating this experience for 5 years, so from 2019 to 2022, I handed over the coordination to my colleague Pam Webb from as I said, from podiatry, and provided some support and mentoring to her in this role. And I think it is so important to have fresh eyes and fresh perspective and enthusiasm. Someone to say, why don't we try this? Or why don't we do it in this way? And that change that Pam brought into 2023 showed up in our student survey data. So I think it's really important that I keep improving as an educator, and a way I do that is by being open to these new ideas and being willing to try something new. So I accept this award with thanks, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to apply for the award and for the support and encouragement that I've received along the way. Thank you.
Kim, thanks very much for those words, and congratulations to you and the team. So I'll now move on to our final award from the Faculty of Science and Health, and this goes to Associate Professor Abhishek Santhakumar from the School of Dentistry and Medical Sciences. And it goes to Abby for his work in transforming medical laboratory science programs that embed quality work-ready design through authenticity of teaching, innovative resources, and professional relevant curriculum. So congratulations, Abby, and would you like to say a few words? Abby, are you there? Sheila, have we got a audio issue, or is Abby not with us this morning? I know Abby has been on leave, but I'm just not sure whether he's here today. Not here. Okay, Lachlan, thank you.
I can't see him either, Megan.
No,
sorry.
you can't find anything. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I will say on Abby's behalf, Abby is incredibly passionate, and I'm sure he will share his words later, but Abby is incredibly passionate about the discipline of medical laboratory science, totally committed to the experience of students and working with the team to develop. This particular program trains individuals who work in pathology labs, and I know all of us have come over COVID to deeply understand how people in pathology and the contribution they make to our health workforce. And Abby is absolutely committed to this and to ensuring that the program is delivering what it needs to do. So I'm very comfortable and confident that this is an award well received. So thank you to everyone. Kishore, I think they are my three. So I will leave it at that and hand back to you. Obviously, congratulations to all recipients and also the recipients from the other faculties. I'm really keen to hear who else has been successful today.
Thank you so much, Megan, for supporting these awards, but also being here and presenting the awards. I think it means so much to us. And to Kim and your team, you know, to everyone who's received these awards, we are looking forward to hearing more about your work next year. So we will come knocking, and I hope you will accept our invitation to present your work and really kind of talk about it in much more depth at CS EdX 2024. So just a heads up that I will be reaching out to you. But yes, I want to congratulate all of you. That's amazing work, and we really need to be shining the spotlight on the things that we're doing in our curriculum, in our classes, in our clinics, to really support student success. So I'm glad that we could hear from you and hear about the people and the stories behind the amazing work that you're doing. So thank you once again, Megan, for being here and for sharing with us in this space. So I'm now going to invite Professor Lucy Zundas-Fraser, who is here on behalf of Professor John McDonald, who's the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Education. So this is a chance for us to celebrate all the amazing learning and teaching work that's going on in the Faculty of Arts and Education, and to celebrate our winners of the Executive Dean's Award in that faculty. So Lucy, we will try and unmute you so that I can hand over to you.
Thanks, Kashila. No, I think I'm good.
You're good.
Yep.
Thank you so
much. Thanks, Lachlan. I think Lachlan's work is magic. So as Kashila mentioned, I'm obviously not John McDonald. So on behalf of John McDonald, our Executive Dean, it's my pleasure to announce the two recipients from the Faculty of Arts and Education. Our first recipient is Dr. Jessica Sears from the School of Education for enhancing teacher education students' learning and experience by developing their efficacy through an innovative school-university partnership. So congratulations, Jess. I have a feeling Jess might be an apology. Lachlan, could you see her hop in once I started? Sorry, not here, yeah. So I do actually know a little bit about the work that Jess has been doing, but I won't sort of butcher her scope of work. But just to let everyone know that Jess has been working with schools in the Bathurst region, particularly in PDHPE, and looking at how we can support our professional experience and those relationships in the schools in a more proactive way, and supporting our students through their professional experience work. So congratulations to Jess. Our second recipient is Dr. Rachel Jefferson Buchanan from the School of Education for consistently employing engaging, imaginative, inclusive, research-led teaching and learning approaches in a creative arts subject, extending this through authentic partnerships. And I do actually know Rachel is here because we separated ourselves on the Wagga campus for the same reason Megan had, so we wouldn't echo off each other. So Rachel, congratulations, and I'll pass over to you.
Thank you, Lucy. And it was a surprise because I was actually here for another award, the Change One Thing Award. So deeply humbled. Thank you. This is a subject that I have had the pleasure of teaching into and also convening and doing research around for 9 years now at CSU. It's called EMA 117, the creative arts, the creative process. And the wonderful thing about it is that I've been able to nurture its evolution across that time period. And it's gone from being a subject where we invited specialists who were arts specialists coming in to work with students. And it was kind of like a disembodied approach. And so what I really wanted to do was make it a more embodied approach. And, you know, this is quite rare in Western education. We prioritize the head more than the body. And so I trained I'm already trained in yoga, but I trained in mindfulness. And I began to employ a lot more, you know, learning by doing in actual workshops regularly. And students responded beautifully to this. And they came with a lot of anxiety. They kept saying they weren't creative. I'm really scared of this subject and so on. And the reality was that I just very gently scaffolded their confidence. And I feel that this will have an enormous positive effect on their future teaching in creative arts. And I'm really, really so proud to be able to say that, you know, they actually enjoyed this subject. So hopefully they will go on into schools and they will teach creative arts with a lot more enthusiasm, because as we know, the arts are often marginalized in the school process. And apart from that, I also developed a partnership with a local high school, and I co-taught media arts workshops. I'm not born into the digital era. And so he was a specialist, and I really enjoyed co-teaching and working with him in the school situation with all of his wonderful resources. And I was very privileged to be able to develop some of the mindfulness and body-based approaches that I've been putting into this class. I was invited to work in Myanmar, and I worked there for 3 years on and off with the Cambridge University and UNESCO and UNICEF, working with teacher educators and employing some of those body-based approaches and helping to nurture a more embodied approach. Thank you very much for the award. It's super exciting.
Thanks. So I'll just, congratulations again, Rachel. I'll just let everybody know the School of Education, where our two recipients happen to be from, are currently having a retreat here on Wagga campus. So it'll be lovely to celebrate as a school. So congratulations both Rachel and to Jess. Thanks, Kashila.
Thank you so much, Lucy, for chairing that part of the session, and many congratulations to Jess and Rachel. I want to invite you to come back next year and share your work in more depth, but even before then, I think what the panel was really impressed with the submissions from the Faculty of Arts and Education, and will come as no surprise, is that you guys are so fantastic in creating these compelling narratives about your work. We were just blown away about in the quality of that narrative and how persuasive and compelling it is. So we would love to, and I would love to invite you as part of our kind of Teaching Academy professional development program as we create these wraparound supports for our staff to say, how do you create a compelling narrative about yourself and the work you do for teaching awards or fellowships or grants? We might need to come have a chat with you around getting your expertise at that session to really encourage other staff to really express what they do, the values behind that work, and the sort of the impact behind that work. So I hope you will be glad to participate or, partner up with the Teaching Academy around those things for next year. But congratulations. It's amazing to be part of this celebration. I think I'm getting the goosebumps listening to everyone talk about their work and the team and the village it takes to really support success for our students. Wonderful. So thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Rachel. Now we're going to move on, last but not least, to the Faculty of Business, Justice and Behavioural Health. And we have the Executive Dean, Professor Louis Bizo, with us here today to present the award for his faculty. So Louis, we will get you unmuted so that you can, so I can hand over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm getting some feedback, but hopefully that will fix itself. It is my great honour to announce the recipient for the Faculty of Business, Justice and Behavioural Sciences today. An absolute pleasure for me to announce our recipient and team, Dr. Ray Bai, Dr. Rubina Ahmed, Dr. Anela Serik, and Miss Amita Krautloa from the School of Business, and their amazing work that's entitled Leading the Way, Enhancing Student Learning, Engagement and Success with Continuous Development in a Postgraduate Management Subject. And I'd like to hand over to Ray, who I know is here, to say a few words about her project.
Thank you, Louis. First, I would like to thank the Assessment Committee for this teaching award on behalf of our team. This award is to acknowledge our excellent teamwork to continuously develop a postgraduate management subject. Over the past decade, we have proactively been involved in new and creative projects such as Online Course Innovation Project, Transformation Online Learning Project, a subject revitalization project to enhance student learning, engagement, and success. Getting involved in these projects has enabled us to continuously improve the subject content, teaching methods, and assessment strategies. We have adopted innovative approaches such as incorporating contemporary real-world examples, leveraging the unfolding digital technology to support and enhance student online learning experience. We have promoted equity and diversity through the learning content. We have employed a student-centered approach to help students to achieve strong performance outcomes. As an educator, learning new things is my energy booster. I always want to share what I learn with my students and inspire them. Meeting new students, testing iterations of the teaching approaches, and refreshing and customizing content that reflects the dynamic business changes are rewarding experience of changing. It always excites me to motivate students to learn and apply what they learn to the real businesses and solve the business problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And that was great to hear about your project.
All right, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you. Firstly, congratulations, Ray and team. It's it's fantastic to hear. Well, it was fantastic to read about the work that you've been doing. And once again, like the other recipients, you know, this is a team effort. There's a trajectory of improvement. I think we were really impressed with the trajectory of improvement in all of our applications and the submissions. People really took the opportunity to reflect on what they've been doing and to talk about sort of the impact and the so what, but also the what now. Now that we're here today, now that we know what we do, or now that we know, what are we going to be doing next? So we were really impressed. The whole panel was impressed by the thought and the reflections that people had about what they would be doing next. So once again, thank you very much to Louise, Lucy, and Megan for being here and being part of this celebration. Congratulations to all our 5 award recipients. But actually, in fact, it's, once I count the numbers and the teams, we're probably getting close to 20 there. So there's a whole bunch of people here today that have contributed to designing for student success, enhancing student learning, engagement and progress. So let's celebrate them. So please join me in congratulating the 5 teams and the 5 individuals, and we will look forward to hearing from you at CS EdX 2024. So those invitations will be coming your way very soon. All right, so now we get to the end of the Executive Dean's Teaching Awards, and it's time for us to really celebrate our winners of the Change One Thing Awards. So the Change One Thing Awards were new this year. They were an opportunity for our educators to share one thing that they're doing within their teaching practice that had a material impact on student success, student engagement, student well-being. And we really wanted people to really just take a little snapshot of what they're doing. And once again, it wasn't a written submission, it was a video submission. So people had to create a 3-minute video about what they were doing in their subject or in their course or in their clinic, you know, and talk about how that was impacting on student success, and really to talk also about the scope of that impact. So we were so delighted to receive many submissions from across the university for this. So we had representation across the 3 faculties and across many of the schools in those faculties. So we, again, had to do some really hard work to go, how are we going to make these decisions around who will receive this award. And the other thing I should mention also is that the recipients of these awards are also receiving some professional development funding so that they can put it towards their own learning. And Rui, I was really taken by your comment that learning new things is your energy boost. So if I can channel that, we have hopefully provided people with a bit of PD funding that they can use to kind of boost their learning, boost their energy as we get to the end of a long year. You know, you've been doing amazing things. You've been marking, moderating, teaching, and I hope that once again, the recipients have had an opportunity to think about themselves and their professional development in this space and kind of start to think about what they might invest in. So let's move on to the next slide, Tiff. And here we are. So I'm just going to move my screen here so I can read everyone's name. So here we are. We have 14 recipients. And you know who you are because we've all reached out and said congratulations. But to the rest of CSU, this is where we landed with our Change One Thing Award winners. So you can see from the School of Business, Justice and Behavioral Sciences, we have Yeslam Al-Sagaf and Catherine Herbert. So once again, a tag team effort. We have Tehani Croft. Tehani, I know you were here in the crowd, so well done to you. Kay O'Done and team, well done. Another team celebration. And I should also add that Kay's submission on behalf of her team was put forward as one of Charles Sturt University nominees for the Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Award. So that was a that was a fantastic outcome for that team. Faculty of Arts and Education, Rachel, there you are again. So you came for this, but we got you something else too. I hope that it's lovely for you to celebrate twice. It certainly is for us. And then the Faculty of Science and Health, look at that long list. So once again, you know, I'm really delighted that the members of this faculty and the members of the schools in the faculty are really engaged in scholarship of learning and teaching, thinking about learning and teaching in scholarly ways, collaborating with each other in amazing ways. So we have Karen Hayes, Robin Jarman, we have Kirsten McPherson and team, we have Kirsty Van Grinsman. Kirsty, I was part of your presentation earlier in CS EdX, so it's lovely to see your name on here. Pamela Webb, Louise Pemberton and team. Louise, you've been a big part of the CS EdX organizing team, so many thanks to you. And in the middle of all that, you managed to put in for this, and so, you know, success there. Congratulations. Ashad Kabir, you know, many congratulations to you. Julie Nguyen, wonderful work. We really enjoyed listening. We really enjoyed listening to the work that you're doing. So rather than reading a submission, we really heard your voice, and we really heard about the things that excite you in your learning and teaching work. We have David Lever. He was also a nominee for the Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Award. Well done, David. Elise Green and the Rural Health Education team were also put forward for the Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Award as a nominee. So once again, what we did this year was we were thinking about introducing these Change One Thing Award as a thing for Charles Sturt University, as a category of award for Charles Sturt University. And during that process, we were also became aware that the Regional Universities Network were crafting their own awards process. And so what we did with some creative thinking was we got our staff to do the one thing. And then from within this group of people, we picked our 3 top submissions and put them through to the RUN awards. So in that way, we really crafted a pathway towards the Regional Universities Network Awards. So once again, please congratulate everyone. Join me in congratulating these amazing recipients. And next year, I can see that we will need to have a Change One Thing Award session where we get hopefully most of you back to share your stories, to share your work, and to maybe talk us through what's happened since, you know. So congratulations again. I can see the chat is booming. So you might want to take a screenshot of the chat there as well, and just save that to look at later. But yes, everyone is very happy for all of you. So, and I add my congratulations as well. So once again, I'm so glad the deans are here, the sub-deans and the executive deans, so they can once again see the teams and the individuals within their faculty who have, you know, been creating these amazing narratives about their work and sharing their work. And we have CS EdX as I think an amazing knowledge sharing platform and a celebration platform to recognize this work. So now we are going to move on to the Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Awards. And so for me, this was the first time I'd encountered this award, well, actually this network and the Learning and Teaching Awards scheme. But when it was announced, I thought, well, this is something that certainly at Charles Sturt University, we can be encouraging our staff from across the footprint to be aspiring to apply for this. And so the way that we did that was to craft that internal grant scheme, the award scheme, which is Change One Thing, where we received submissions from across the university, and then we made some deliberations around which would be put forward to the Regional Universities Network. So in that way, I feel so happy that the Teaching Academy has had a small part in creating that pathway, because, you know, what we often see is that we see these opportunities, we see these awards, we see these grants and fellowships, but often what's missing is the mentoring support and feedback in the background, the wraparound support to really support people to recognize that they can in fact apply for these things, but they can also do that successfully. So I am, having had this experience this year, can see so many opportunities for next year for the Teaching Academy to really create a much more robust, I guess, wraparound support system to enable our educators to recognize that the opportunities are there, but also to really prepare them to apply and be successful. So now we're going to announce the recipients. So as you remember, there were 3 nominees. Kay O'Done and team went forward as a Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Award nominee. We had David Lever from the Faculty of Science and Health who went forward, and we also put forward Elise Green and team. And what I would love to announce now, if we go on to the next slide, is that Elise Green and the Rural Health Education team actually took out first place nationally in the Regional Universities Network Learning and Teaching Awards. So what a fantastic win for Charles Sturt University. I'm lost for words when I saw that this was the outcome. It was amazing. And, you know, I am lost for words. So Elise and the Rural Health Education team, you know, we saw your submission. When we saw it and when we listened to it, we knew that this was a gem and that we really wanted to put you forward. So Brent Smith, Rebecca Barry, Letitia Kernhan, and Catherine Costello. I know I've heard from you, Letitia, as well during CS EdX. Elise, we've been talking about other things, but it's amazing to now see that your work has been recognized nationally. And so my congratulations to you. So once again, the Rural Health Education team from the Three Rivers Department of Rural Health, you are doing just such amazing work in this space. So what I would like to do now is to, hopefully, Tiffany, you can play the video so that we can all get to listen to the 3-minute video that was put forward. We don't have the sound yet, Tiff. Just bear with us while we get this working. We'll try again. The suspense is building. That's what we're doing here. We're all leaning into our screens, wanting to listen. No pressure, Tiffany.
You ask someone how often they'd felt depressed in the last month.
Yeah, it's working now.
What would you do if you asked someone how often they'd felt depressed in the last month and they responded, "Do you mean how close am I to buying a crate and a rope?" These kinds of conversations are extremely challenging, but for our future rural health professionals, they'll likely be a reality. How do we prepare students to conduct these conversations confidently, capably, and safely? My name's Elise Green, and this presentation is focused on one way we're facilitating paramedicine students to learn the language of rural mental health through a supported work-integrated learning experience. This is important for paramedicine students because of the nature and scope of their future work. Learning the language of mental health is complex. People talk about mental health in different ways and they have different experiences. This is why work-integrated learning is a great platform to learn about the language of rural mental health. Students can actually get in and practice having these conversations. Our team has been visiting a large agricultural event since 2018, and we've supported students to conduct over 1,000 men's health checks. In the early days, we only measured things like blood pressure and BMIs, but we soon recognised there was an opportunity for us to add a mental health measure. We did so in parallel with changing our learning program to include a structured support process for students. The aim of this was to enhance safety and the students' ability to engage with the learning. The support program included pre, during and post-placement structures. There were several mechanisms in place for the students to escalate concerns and seek support, either by having a supervisor sit in with them or having an immediate debrief after a conversation. I cannot emphasise enough the importance of these supportive mechanisms. For many of these students, this is the first time they're talking to someone about mental health. The students described it as hard and felt they started out awkward, clunky and uncomfortable. And they had some really involved conversations with community members. The example I gave at the start of this presentation was an actual conversation a student recalled to me. On the last day of placement, we consolidated learning through an in-depth debrief and reflection and finished with a session on self-care. The outcome of our changes to the program was the provision of a safe learning environment in which students were able to undertake 566 health checks for rural men in a 3-day period. Students achieved all assessed learning outcomes and reported increased confidence in conducting mental health conversations. So what happens now? We're conducting our 4th research project based on this learning program, and we're currently looking to upscale the work integrated learning experience to include other agricultural field days and much larger student cohorts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So congratulations once again to the Rural Health Education team at the Three Rivers Department of Rural Health. First place nationally. Wow, can't beat that, hey? So we ended with the biggest celebration of all, didn't we, this morning? And now I know Elise couldn't be here, but we do have Brent here with us today, who's going to take to tell us a little bit more about the team and the work of the team and what this award means to you. Over to you, Brent.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kashila. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Look, we're extremely proud of this, and especially thanks very much to Elise for submitting this on behalf of the team. She's always looking out for us and looking for these incredible opportunities for us. And it is certainly a team effort. So we're led by Elise, but we've also got the team of Rebecca Barry, Letitia Kernigan, Catherine Castelletto, but as well, who isn't mentioned there on that screen is Lucinda Derrick and Natalie Ellis. With this program, we're ecstatic that it's recognised in terms of its impact and effect. We think it's a really good program and the impact that it has, but to actually see the recognition come through is really humbling. Like the presentation has said, we've been offering this initiative and it's delivered at the Henty Field Days since 2019. We do it in partnership with the Australian Men's Shed Association to deliver what was originally their Spanner in the Works program. We have amended and adapted the program over the years to suit the learning needs and outcomes of the students, and as well of being reactive to the individuals that were accessing the tent in terms of the health screening requirements. So in 2022, we actually looked at introducing a mental wellness measure via the K10 assessment. And then based on our research and reflections on this activity, that's where we refined the offering, which is what this presentation is focused on, so our 2023 offering. So we extended the placement from a 3-day period, which is the 3 days of the event, and it just so happens to fall from a Tuesday to a Thursday to make it a 5-day offering to best prepare and brief the students prior to the event and the interactions that they'll be having, and then to incorporate some debrief and reflection and those sorts of things on the final day. So we prepared the students for the kinds of interactions and experiences that they would be having via the provision of mental health first aid training to the students, so that they could go into those conversations with some confidence and surety around how to handle those situations. And then we also had the debrief and also the mindfulness and wellbeing sessions as well at the end, based on the kind of interactions that they'd be experiencing. We have a lot of support there at the actual event. basically due to our duty of care, not only to the individuals that are accessing the tent, but also for the learning and educational needs of the students. The program has evolved as well over the years. So originally we were doing the assessments with allied health students, and this evolved to include paramedicine, and then focusing on paramedicine basically due to their learning requirements and the fit with their placement model and their learning needs. So these are first year students having some very complex interactions, but due to the support and the structures that we have in place, as well as referral pathways, etc., we're really able to have that impact. And this event has grown, and it is the largest event that the Australian Men's Shed Association runs in conjunction with its Spanner in the Works program nationally. So we're really proud of that. So every year we have started with them in terms of our partnership. It has always been their biggest event nationally. So from humble beginnings in 2018 with 156 health assessments over 3 days, to now be conducting 566 over 3 days, I think is a massive undertaking. We've all well and truly had enough by the end of 3 days. We're about quality, though not quantity, in terms of those assessments. So we do realise that there is a ceiling to be reached with that, because we still want those quality, meaningful interactions. And another thing to probably note as well quickly is, whilst we target primarily men through this initiative, through the Australian Men's Shed Association, there was increasingly a large number of females accessing the tent this year, interested in their health and having that engagement. So we certainly welcome that. And it's just nice to see that actually people were seeking us out and coming back. So we have a lot of repeat individuals accessing the tent and having that health interaction. And sometimes it's their only health interaction, sadly, but at least they're getting some kind of health screening, health promotion with those referral pathways if is deemed necessary. So yes, we're really proud of this. We're looking to use the PD as a team. So we're meeting to discuss how we do utilise that to continue to get the benefit for this program. And like Elisa said in the presentation, we are looking at other opportunities, particularly in our footprint, and where we might be able to extend this out and look for those expanded opportunities for not only that impact for people of the region, but also for the students. So yeah, so something we're really proud of and happy to have that recognition. So thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Very, very proud of what the work that you're doing. And obviously it's been recognized nationally. What more, what more can we say? But I don't know if Megan's still here with us. Megan, because we do have a little bit of time, perhaps, I know I'm going off script here, but would you like to share, Professor Megan Smith, any reflections about the kind of the work that's happening and what that means from your faculty's perspective?
Yeah, I'm really happy. And firstly, can I say congratulations to the team? Obviously, a national recognition is really, it's really gratifying for the work that's being done. I think we all know that we do fantastic things at Charles Sturt, and we haven't always blown our trumpet the way we could have done. And I think to actually put ourselves out there and have it recognised is fantastic. I watched this video, can I say, and I was really moved by the video and just incredibly proud of the fact that this group we're not absolutely doing something for our students and in the education space, but just making such a difference to the people in the community through what they were doing. It was that double impact that really meant something for me when I watched it, totally understanding the communities of people that they're working through. So I think that to me is why this touches people. There's just that real understanding of it's an impact that is just layered. I think the other thing I'd like to just sort of recognise is that this is through our Three Rivers Department of Rural Health, and I think the identity of the department is growing within our university, where it fits within the mix of things. And it is funded through a program through the Commonwealth Government. We hosted And really its intent is to grow the capacity of our workforce in rural areas and the readiness of our teams, a readiness of our students to work in that environment. And I think, you know, the group always have to work with our educational, they don't sit within a school, but have just had such an effective way of being able to integrate, to value add, to support, and to take on making a real difference. So I think the recognition here is partly, yes, this is the work they've done, the layers to do with the community, but also then finding a way to have their place within our organisation and to have an impact. That's a real achievement. So I think that recognition is particularly notable. You know, they had to start and make that, and which is really gratifying. So congratulations to them all.
Thank you so much, Megan. So I think this brings us to the end of the proceedings, the formal proceedings. So thank you very much to the Executive Deans for being here and being part of the celebrations. Congratulations to all our award winners, but also to those of you who've put forward your submissions for these awards. You know, you are also showing your readiness to talk about your work and create those compelling narratives. And absolutely the job of the Teaching Academy over the next couple of years is to support you to really, you know, aspire to those opportunities and to feel confident that you can, you know, put forward your work for those things. So I certainly will be working with you, I think, and offering that wraparound support in that space. Thank you to all of the other people who've been here cheering on your colleagues this morning, which I think is wonderful. A bit too early for champagne, perhaps, but at least with our cup of teas, we've been cheering you on. So thank you for being here. I think we've had at one point about 85 people in the room, so that's been fabulous. So I guess, you know, from my perspective, I think again another great session, because there's 85 of us been here hearing about the wonderful learning and teaching work that's happening across the footprint of Charles Sturt University, and really celebrating in the magic, I guess, that's happening, and hearing about the stories and the people behind the work, you know, it's been quite inspirational. We do have a little bit of time, and I know that several of our award winners are still in the room, so I will open this space up maybe for a few questions if people do have any. We are due to go on for another sort of half an hour. We don't need to take half an hour, but if I can maybe Tiff, you can stop sharing the slide so you can actually see us. I know you've been waiting for that since we started, but how about we just take a moment now, because we do have the time booked in, to, if you have questions for any one of the individuals or any of the teams, why don't we have that conversation and hear a little bit from our award winners. If you have specific kind of things that you're doing in your own space and you want to connect up, maybe you would like to share something that's front of mind for you. So I am going way off script here, and I won't keep you too long, but I think let's take 10 minutes just to have that conversation. So is there anyone sort of who wants to lead off with a question or a front of mind reflection after being in this session? Now I say that and I will be faced with deathly silence, I'm sure.
Well, I'll break the silence if I may.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
That's okay. I have a question for the last project. I was very interested in them and how they used the mental health first aid training, but also involved mindfulness, because that very much links with my own work. So I was interested in what sort of training they did in mindfulness and how they were actually using that in their work.
I can probably hand over to Beck if she's happy to answer some of those questions. But Rachel, we recognised when we did offer this as an offering in 2022, particularly with the mental wellness screening, that we basically needed to better prepare the students for the interactions they would have, and so they could have those conversations in a safe way. So that's why we went through the mental health first aid to start off with. As well, on that first day, we also did some in-depth training in person, and we also did an on-site orientation as well, so that the students were orientated before they went there. They basically knew what they were in for, so they could hit the ground running on that first day, being the Tuesday, because our location is right near the entrance gate. People start flooding in and we start taking people in for these health assessments, basically from kind of 8:30. So we wanted to prepare the students, but we also wanted to give the space for that reflection as well at the end. So that's why we also did the final day. So Beck, with her background in social work and also experience in mental health, was able to run some debrief sessions with the paramedicine students. So I'll let Beck have a little bit of a chat about that.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for your question, and thank you for all the support that we've received too. It's been such a privilege to have the program recognised. So thank you. So we decided that mental health first aid, I guess, would just ensure that the students going into doing the assessments at the Henty Field Days would just give them that knowledge that perhaps they didn't have, and we felt was really necessary after reflecting on the previous year of 2022. We just felt it would give the students some extra knowledge and skills going into doing the assessments, and of course just have some of those conversations around, you know, if you do meet with one of the members of the community and they do start talking about suicide, how we can actually manage that and an approach to the conversations. And that's what mental health first aid equips the students with. It gives them an action plan, I guess, to work through if they are having those conversations, which we had many conversations around suicide, actually, and a lot of debriefing with the students around that. But also the students had a lot of supervision support too. So I think what they came away with was to know that they can have those conversations and it not not be fearful of having frank conversations around suicide. And your question around mindfulness, yes, so we talk about self-care with the students. I talked about self-care with them in the mental health first aid preparation that I did with the students, but also in the debrief. But in terms of the mindfulness, we mostly talk to the students about that for their own, for them to practice for themselves. It's not, they can talk to the community members as a strategy to manage some of their distressing thoughts, but it's mostly as part of the students' self-care, actually. So we say to them, you've actually heard some really tough stories, and this has potentially been quite confronting for you. So here are some strategies, and we encourage them to walk away with some self-care strategies, and one of them might be mindfulness for you. So yeah, so we do suggest it as a self-care strategy for the students. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you both. That's really interesting. So it's kind of more, as you say, you're not training them in mindfulness, you're training them in the MHFA, and then mindfulness is just part of the whole self-care package.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so the students are required now to do the mental health first aid to come on the placement in Henty. We say now that's a requirement, so that comes before, which I think is a really good lead in to then the work they're doing, the assessments they're doing. And then we make sure we're looking after the students too, and we teach them that mindfulness is a potential strategy for self-care.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
No problem.
Thank you, Rachel, for that question, and obviously Brent and Rebecca for replying. Caroline, question from you?
Thank you. Can I just follow up with the same team? Congratulations. It's a brilliant award. And I'm just sitting in a school. I'm interested in that collaborative work that you've got going. And it was, very much the Three Rivers Initiative. So what's the relationship with the School of Nursing, paramedicine and the academics, and is there involvement of the academic staff, or have you just got the students on placement? So I'm interested in that interrelationship. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. So there's a fair bit of work that goes into it naturally just to align all the ducks, because there's a lot of moving pieces to this. Even though it's only a week-long placement, there is lots of moving parts. So what we do in that space is originally, when we first started the offerings way back in 2018, we went to the schools and said who had availability, and we went that way. And so we've had a mix of students over the years. And basically, we kind of landed on paramedicine in the end because of the fit with the placement. Their supervision requirements are quite flexible in reality. They can be supervised by pretty much any registered health professional. They don't have to be paramedics to supervise paramedics, where some of the other disciplines are a little bit more rigid around their accreditation requirements with that. And basically what we also did we've done for the last few years is look at an EOI process. So we put it out to the students as an expression of interest to participate in the activity with a brief around what it's about. And then we essentially select the students in conjunction with the discipline around that. So we offer limitations of space and those sorts of things at the site. So we can only have a certain number of assessment rooms, and the site's only so big. So we had anticipated of taking 14 students this year. We could only take 13. One had to withdraw at the end because of a medical issue. So we went with the 13 students. So of the 14 though that we selected, there was something like 28 or 30 expressions of interest that we selected the students on. So we look at things like their desirability for rural practice, what's interesting them in this practice, all those sorts of things, their background, and basically make the determination with then the discipline. And then so we work with the discipline based around what their other placement experiences are like, how it fits with their placements, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of work we do with the discipline to select and allocate the students then for that. But by doing that, we get a really good mix of students then who are well prepared for it. They know what they're in for. And as well, because we do have those other requirements. So the mental health first aid isn't a requirement for their course. We make it a requirement for this placement. We support the students with that. So Beck actually facilitated the mental health first aid training for the students. But because there's these layer of requirements, the students need to know what they're opting in for, basically. So we work with the discipline and select the students based around that.
Okay, thank you. But I can see you've got a relationship, but the academics are not directly involved in this.
No,
is it?
No.
Okay.
So basically the only involvement they have is right at the start when we're looking to put it out to the students. So just talking around the timeframes for that, when it's most appropriate to put it out to the students, the EOI process. And then when it actually comes back with the selection, then they basically check over those and make sure that that's all right and aligns with the students' learning needs. And then that behind the scenes in terms of in-place allocations, those sorts of things. But the actual supervision is done by us as the registered health professionals, and the different professions that we've got. So nursing, social work is the main ones there. And also me as podiatrist. So that's all okay for their accreditation requirements. And then we just do the comp tracker stuff for them, not being in place for their assessment needs.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah, no worries.
Wonderful. So I think through this conversation, we are starting to understand, as Megan said, a bit more about the sort of various parts of Flying University and Three Rivers. Once again, I'm not sure how much people know about how Three Rivers operates and the kind of the education programs, but wow, I've learned a lot already. So thank you, Brent, and the team for kind of helping us, I guess, increase our literacy and knowledge about what's happening across the broad footprint of Charles Sturt. So do we have any other or any front of mind reflections from anyone? No? Well, let's bring this to a close then. So we will be reconvening at 11:15 for the 2 concurrent presentation sessions, and then it'll be followed by the conference close. So how quickly the 3 days have gone, but how wonderful it's been is all I can say. So thank you very much for staying on the call. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you for all the congratulations. I can see the meeting chat has blown out, but it's wonderful. So thank you everyone for being part of this. Congratulations to all our award recipients, but also to those who've submitted for these awards. We will be working with you hopefully in the years to come to support you to success. So it's wonderful to see you this morning, and go have a cuppa, have a stretch, and we'll see you back at 11:15 for the concurrent sessions and then into the close. So thank you everyone, and take care. See you soon.